It is now 1:02 here on the East Coast. And I want to thank those of you that are joining for being prompt, and we'll get things kicked off. So, we're super excited, Ben and I, to be introducing managed SaaS alerts. And for those that don't know us, I am the co founder and CEO here at SaaS Alerts. I'm joined by none other than Ben Jones, the director of managed SaaS Alerts. He is the star of today's show. Ben joined us a year ago, Ben? A
Yeah, a
year,
little over a year.
13 months ago?
Yeah.
It seems like longer because you've made such an impact here at SaaS Alerts. But what most of you should know, or all of you should know, is that 13, 14 months ago, Ben was sitting in your shoes. He was working essentially the security desk or running security for his MSP in Central Virginia.
Mhm.
And we were lucky enough to uh, acquire Ben, and he's made a massive impact on the organization. First, in as a sales engineer, and then moving into director of managed SaaS certs. So we couldn't be happier that Ben is running the show over at managed SaaS certs. Ben, you want to add anything?
That was very flattering. Yeah. I think you pretty much covered it all.
Okay, great. So with all that, and by the way, for those that don't know, I'm a former MSP myself. Um, Going back, I've been in this space now for over 20 years, and half of it has been as an MSP, and half of it has been on the software vendor side. So we have a lot of MSP DNA within SaaS alerts, and we think that's really important because it's important for us as your provider to understand the challenges that you face every single day, right? And that's that's what we aim to do, and that's what we're all about. So, with that being said, one of the things that we do here at SaaS Alerts is talk about our why we exist. This is our why statement, and we read this uh, in every internal and external meeting that we do. So we believe there is a transition underway in cybersecurity from an on-premise and device-centric focus to a user behavior and account-centric approach. SaaS Alerts helps MSPs win on this transition. Uh, this is again why we exist as an organization to help you win on this really, really important transition. So a little bit about SaaS Alerts for those that don't know. We started in January of 21 as we went GA the software then. We had 10 beta MSPs on the platform. Today we service over 1,200. We monitor over 3.3 million accounts, and we process over 3 billion security events per year. So we've certainly come a long way in a relatively short period of time. And we've done that. We've been able to do what we've done in a short period of time because of our MSP community. With the great feedback that we get every single day from folks like yourselves that are making us better and making the product better. So thank you. We appreciate you. So with that being said, there are some of you on this webinar right now that may not know all that much about SaaS alerts. So just high level, we do cloud detection and response. And our product is broken up into three specific modules. Okay. From a product perspective, the first one is manage, not managed, but manage. And that is where in the platform you're going to add customers, you're going to configure the settings for those customers, you're going to add the applications you want monitored, you're going to do the whitelisting, etc. That all happens in manage, along with analyzing what's going on. All that happens there. That was the very first module we released in 2021. Within that module, there's additional functionality uh, called Fortify. Fortify is 365 configuration management, where we identify what your and benchmark what your the Microsoft security score is for your customer. We identify how you can improve the score for those customers and what the recommended actions are associated with that tenant. Be able to push a button and boom, you can do it for one, you can do it for all. It's a massive time saver for the MSP. There's a ton in Fortify, but that's there for you to leverage as well. Right now, 65% of all of our partners leverage Fortify as part of what we do for them. Next up is Unify. So Unify is something that nobody else on the planet does. Okay, we correlate device side information from the RMM with all of the information coming from the SaaS account, giving you more visibility into what is going on with your users. Okay, so whether you're on ConnectWise Automate, BSA, Enable, Synchro, Ninja, we're going to take the RMM information and correlate it with the SaaS-based information. And again, nobody else on the planet does that. We do it all. We do it for majority of the RMMs out there. We're also looking at supply chain attacks as well on the RMM. So it's important for you, the MSP, to know what's going on within your RMM, but also to know from a visibility standpoint what's going on with your customers' devices and their SaaS accounts and bringing them together. Okay, so then the next module is respond, or excuse me, report. Report is where you essentially identify all of the information for the customer that they need to know how you're acting on behalf of them. So, as a former MSP, Ben's former MSP, if you're not showing your customers how you're helping them every single day and showing them data, they're not going to think you're doing anything for them, right? So we need to demonstrate the value. And report is how you do it. You can set up customized reports. Again, this is your logo, your color scheme. You're sending it to them on a daily, monthly, weekly basis. Doesn't matter what frequency, whatever frequency you want. They're fantastic for prospecting. They're fantastic for VCIO reviews and just normal meetings with your points of contact at your customer. So report was a second module that we did and also very important from a visibility standpoint. And then respond is the third module. So respond is automated remediation. So it's a customized rules engine that allows you to create if-then statements. And it's really powerful. For instance, we were talking about Unify before. Let's just say you've got a customer logging in from an unapproved location on a device that we don't recognize. And we can see whether or not they're on a device we recognize or not because we're leveraging Unify and we can see what the RMM agent is telling us. Respond allows you to create a rule that says lock account, wipe out the session token, enforce a password reset. Okay, and you don't need eyes on glass to do it. The software does it for you automatically. That's the power of automatic remediation. So those are the modules, MRR. Most MSPs like that acronym. And that's how the product is set up and the general functionality of what we do here at SaaS Alerts. These are all of the integrations that we have. So you can see there's a fair amount of them at this point. 365 is what most MSPs care about, but you'd be surprised. There's a lot of MSPs that have customers with these additional applications. Google Workspace, Salesforce, Dropbox, Slack, Okta, Duo, Defender, AWS CloudTrail. These are all applications that your customers are using that we essentially monitor on your behalf to create a better security posture for your customer. We also integrate with ConnectWise PSA. We monitor IT Glue. We integrate with Autotask. We integrate with BMS. And below, you can see the MSP tools that we integrate with as well. So that's it's really important for you to understand the applications outside of Microsoft 365 that we also help you with. So, with all that being said, that's kind of the backdrop, right? The context of SaaS alerts. But now we get to talk about what we're introducing, and that is managed SaaS alerts. So, as I mentioned before, when we started SaaS alerts in January of 21, we released a product with 25 different events that we monitored, and it was a handful at best of applications. Today, we monitor over 300 different events in over 25 different applications. So as the platform has gotten more comprehensive and more complex, our MSP partners have told us, hey, look, we would love for you to be able to do a lot of this stuff for us. We would love for you to be able to manage SaaS alerts for us, right? Because we don't have the dedicated folks. We don't have enough people on staff to keep track of all of this, right? To make sure Fortify is set up the right way, to make sure that we have got the respond rules that we need, to make sure that we're on top of all the new releases because at least every other week we're adding new functionality into the platform. So we took that feedback and we said, okay, you know what? For additional per user per month fee, we can do this. And that's how we came up with managed SaaS alerts. So essentially, we have cloud analysts that are working 24/7, 365 in our cloud detection center run by Ben Jones, and they perform the following. So customized platform configuration. So Ben, you want to help us understand, what customized platform configuration really means?
Certainly. So every MSP is just a little bit different. Not everybody is the same. So one rule that works for this MSP may not necessarily work the same for this one. So what we're doing is we're monitoring the logs and activity that are going on in your platform, and we're making adjustments to those rules so that they're more effective and they will do exactly what they're supposed to do.
Okay, great. Appreciate that.
Mhm.
So up next, 24/7, 365 monitoring.
Mhm.
So when we say this, what do we really mean? And how does manage essentially do this for us?
A great question. So not only are we looking at the things that we have set up rules to monitor for, but we're also looking for emerging threats, the things that are cutting edge. We have a large landscape of different accounts that we can see. We see a lot of activity, so we're able to see threats that are just entering the space. And so we're able to monitor those. And when they do happen, that's when we're setting up rules and adjusting our platform to compensate.
Got it. Great. So, at this point, we've got 1,200 partners, so we see all the data coming into our own platform. Now we've
Mhm.
got about 100 MSPs that have just started with Manage. Your team sees all that. So instead of a single MSP just seeing their piece of the puzzle, we see a much broader spectrum, which allows us to be more effective on behalf of the MSP.
Yep, exactly. Just instead of a few hundred users, we're looking at about 3 million.
Okay. So that's a lot of users.
Just a
Okay.
few.
It's a big job, Ben. Do you sleep?
Occasionally.
Okay. Incident analysis and triage. So, Ben, talk to us about, look, you're a former MSP. We've talked about this.
Yeah.
So, I'm assuming that when you were in your job, you had to do all of the incident analysis. So, if something happened, you had to do all the reporting and so forth. So,
Right.
how are we helping MSPs with this piece of the equation?
A, a fun story, actually. Last week, our very first week, we saw what started out as a suspicious mailbox forwarding rule being created, but surrounding that event was also the upload of a file and mass sharing of that file to different vendors of this company. That was their a supply chain attack that happened. So instead of just looking at the one event and saying, oh, well, this was a isolated event, whatever. We look at all the other things that surround that event and identify, okay, well, not only did this mailbox rule get created, but also we're seeing a lot of activity. So you need to follow up with all these other email addresses that were now a part of this supply chain attack, and at least stop sharing that file. But that's how we're able to triage and analyze those sort of things.
Awesome. Cool. Okay. We talked about how important reporting is
Mhm.
before when we were talking
Sure.
about the modules, right? So we do comprehensive monthly reporting. How would this be different than just say the reporting that comes out of the platform natively? Is there a difference?
A little bit of difference, yes. So you'll get the report from us of all the different activities that our analysts performed for you, any changes that were made to your platform, any sort of incidents that we were able to work with and prevent, as well as the things that are in our platform that are kind of cherry picked to say this is what we feel would be a good report for these clients. I have worked with clients before, and when you start getting technical, they start getting sleepy. So we definitely don't want to overwhelm them, but we have a lot of experience in picking out those reports that are interesting and informative and can really help your MSP sell your security offerings.
Okay. Good stuff. Okay. Proactive security enhancements. So talk to us about what the proactive security enhancements mean.
Yep. We have, as Jim said, releases and improvements coming out all the time. It's very hard to keep up with. When I was a sales engineer before this role, my biggest problem was how do I make sure that all of our partners are using all of these new enhancements that are coming out and they're getting the full benefit of our platform. But with this, we're actually going in there and doing those things for you. So we're making sure that you're using this latest and greatest thing. If when we make enhancements to Unify, we're incorporating that data and using that a part of our monitoring as well.
Yeah, I go to a lot of shows. Ben, you go to some shows too. So
Mhm.
we talk to a lot of MSPs.
Yes.
And at this point, with so many partners, at the shows, we run into a lot of our existing partners, which is great. We love talking to them.
Hmm.
And something that's very common that comes up is, we're in a conversation and I say, well, we wish you actually did this. And like, well, we actually already
Yeah.
do that, right? They just weren't aware of it, even though we put it in our release notes and we put it in the newsletter. Look, as a former MSP, I know you're always putting out fires. You don't have time to read
No.
everything vendors send you, right? So it's difficult, as you point out, to keep up with everything that we're doing to make our platform better. So one of the advantages, certainly, to manage is that we're going to implement all of these for you. It's our job to stay on top of it
Mhm.
and to make sure that you've got the latest and greatest from coming from SaaS Alerts.
Yep. I know where all the newsletters go that I get. So
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So up next, we've got collaboration and communication, which, is super important when we're talking about security, right?
Mhm.
Because in the blink of an eye, things happen. So talk to us about how we're collaborating and communicating with our MSP partners in this.
Certainly. So we will work, like I said, hand in hand with your security team, or even if you lack one, if it's something that you would prefer that we take care of solely for you, we can also do that too. We definitely welcome any sort of collaboration between your company and ours, especially since you know your customers better than we do. And so we're going to get to learn them, get to know them, but you guys will be instrumental when it comes to that process.
Great. Okay. Clear incident documentation.
Correct.
I'm sure no one needs help with documentation.
Everybody loves documentation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when an incident does occur, we need to be able to communicate that effectively to, your customers. You need to be able to understand what you're talking about when they start asking you those hard questions. So that's when we're going to be working with your team to make sure that you have those answers and that you can present reports. And God forbid there's some sort of legal incident that has to, or reporting that has to happen. We're going to make sure that you have all the information that you need.
Exactly. So cyber insurance policies, so forth. There's
Yeah.
a lot of documentation that ultimately the MSP is going to be responsible for. We're helping them make sure they have all of it on behalf of their customer.
Correct.
Okay. Sharing best practices.
That's a great term, but yeah. So we know our platform pretty well. We've definitely used it. I come from an MSP that was actually one of the first adopters that had those was it 25 alerts.
Mm-hmm.
And over the years we've become very familiar with our platform and we know how to configure it optimally and you'll be able to share in the experience that we have developed over the years.
Great. Yeah. One of the reasons we decided that we are going to do managed SaaS alerts, which by the way, when we first started, we had no inclination whatsoever to do this type of work
True.
for MSPs. But as we said, as the platform has gotten more comprehensive and more complicated for those that want it, we want to provide it.
Mhm.
We felt like we would end up becoming one of our best customers.
Yes.
So we're acting like an MSP in many respects from a service standpoint on behalf of our MSPs, right? So we now, you, Ben, specifically as director, you're seeing things in the platform that we could be doing better on the software
Yes.
side, right?
100%.
And
100%.
I know we shared an email this past week how excited you are, to be able to share some of these new ideas with our own development team.
Yep.
So this is really cool. I know sharing best practices is probably an overused term. It has additional extra meaning for us because again, we're now going to become our own best customer.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to the improvements that our platform will experience because of this offering and being in the trenches will help me, see the things that maybe we can change, do a little bit better. And that way everybody benefits from this.
Great. Okay. So we didn't want to overwhelm you with information. We want to give you a high level overview today of what managed SaaS alerts is all about. That being said, we also want to be able to answer any questions that you may have. So Ryan, I know has been manning the chat. Let's see. How are we doing, Ryan? Let's see. We're all good. Okay. What level of access does your team require into our tenants? You want to take that, Ben?
Certainly. So we do rely on you to make that initial connection into your clients' tenants. We won't be gathering or storing any sort of global admin credentials or anything. So once that connection has been made by you, that's when we're able to do our work. But essentially, what it is you establish that connection with your global admin. Our system creates an enterprise application with only the permissions that we need in order to do our job.
Okay, great. Here's another question from Scott. Are we able to set company exclusions for the MSA rules?
Oh, certainly. You will not only you see our rules, but you can also make changes too. Now, it would be better if you just let us know that we're making those changes, but and all you have to do, honestly, is just communicate with us and say, "Hey, this rule is great, but I prefer it not to be applied to this company, or maybe this rule just needs to be customized for this specific customer, and that's okay too." That's one reason that we kind of stage out the onboarding like we do. We do implement a set of rules, but we're not going in there guns a-blazing and making action and making changes and kicking people out of their accounts. We're monitoring to see how effective those rules are. And if they're not effective and we're seeing a lot of noise, that's obviously something that we're going to know about before applying them. So we're going to be, practicing what we preach, which we start out with just alert, no actions, no events, and then gradually go up from there once we know that we're not going to cause you guys to have a bad time because we know that your clients are going to yell at you and you're going to yell at us and we don't want to be yelled at.
Right, exactly. So let's look at some other questions. Appreciate all the questions coming in, by the way. Richard asks, what is the minimum term for the managed service? So, like with everything else we do, we've got a 1 and a 3 year option. That being said, if you're an existing partner, we'll co-term it to your existing agreement. So if that's what you would like. right? So, but the minimum is 1 year. Um, let's see. Um, I'm guessing there's no try before. Yeah, try before you buy, Richard, in this type of scenario is difficult. Uh, but we do have a number of folks, that are on it right now, and we're going to be sharing some case studies on that. So we're happy to send some references over to you if that's something that you'd like. Pricing levels, it's really easy. It's just 75 cents a user on top of whatever you're paying now for SaaS alerts. If you do not have an existing SaaS alerts agreement, then we can talk to you about what the bundle package would be at this point. And well, we can, you can reach out to our sales team for that. We can reach out to you, Richard. We'll have the list here of folks that participated, and we can reach out and talk to you about, what the whole bundle looks like at this point. Is it per active user or per active available license? So we bill by the active user. So if someone can log in to an application, then we're going to bill for it because once they are able to do that, then they are a security threat. And that's what we're protecting against security threats. So hopefully that answered that. Great questions. We appreciate them. Okay. Any other questions people might have? I know Ryan took care of a bunch in the chat before, as you and I were talking, Ben.
Thanks, Ryan.
So we have essentially next steps. So if you are an existing partner of ours, just contact your account manager. Um, it's either Connor, Maya, or Jake Brady. Those are the three account managers at this point. And then if you're not an existing partner, you can feel free to reach out to saasalerts.com. You can sign up for a demo. You can sign up for a free trial, and you're going to be put in contact with a regional sales manager that will talk through all the options and pricing. And again, on the trial side, we're happy to set people up with free trials so you know exactly what you're getting from the product itself. And then we can talk about what managed looks like on top of it. Okay. Let's see. We've got some more folks coming in. Oh, congrats on your success. I work with you. Oh, yeah. So, Jason, thanks. Really appreciate it. Jason goes back with me to the Independence IT days. So 2014. Yes. Plan on being at IT Nation this year. We'll be at DattoCon, we'll be at IT Nation, and a bunch of other events. So, Jason, hopefully we'll get a chance to catch up. I appreciate your comments very much. One of the great things about Ben, you know this, one of the great things about this community is that it's fairly big at the same time. It's really close knit, and we've got all these events, going on every single year. So if you're in this industry long enough, you get to meet a lot of really great people, a lot of really smart people, and it's cool to continue to see those folks. Okay, those reviewing alerts, are they U.S. based employees? Yeah, we have both. We're in and out of country, as Ben mentioned.
Yep.
Should my MSP be sending me the proactive security report? So your MSP. So Willie, are you a direct customer? Are you internal IT? Is that why you're asking that? Because we only sell through MSPs. We are channel only. Okay, you're a direct customer. Happy to set you up with one of our partners based on geography. We do that all the time for direct customers that reach out to us. They're interested in the platform. We set them up with a essentially one of our MSPs that will resell SaaS sorts to them, to you. So
Yeah, reporting is always tricky. There's a lot of great platforms out there, but not a lot of ones that do really good reports that are easy to understand. That's
yeah,
one thing that sold me about SaaS Alerts when I started was like I can present this report to a number of my clients, and it's not a bunch of just technical things.
yeah, exactly. And Ryan mentions something that's a really important point. So we actually did just release our data center in the EU. We're now in Germany as well. We have an instance there. So if you're concerned about GDPR, we've got you covered in that respect as well. Okay. Some good questions, huh, Ben?
Very good. Yeah.
Anybody else have anything they want to share? Okay. Well, we did record this. For those that weren't able to make it, we'll be sending it out. And again, a lot of information on our website. If you're an existing partner, definitely reach out to your account manager. We can talk through the options there. And if you're not with us today, then uh, you can talk to one of our regionals. Willie says, sorry, I misspoke. We are a client of current SaaS provider. Oh, okay. SaaSCon will be in Germany. Well, beer tasting. So we won't be going, Joshua, to SaaSCon in Germany. So if you go, definitely take a photo of yourself at Oktoberfest or Beer Fest or whatever they're having over there at that time. So keep us posted. Um, let's see. Richard wants to know go live date. We are live right now. So we've
Yeah.
been live
And
since September 1.
Darren, it was what will the initial onboarding look like? So Uh, it's a project that we create that basically starts with you setting us up a login for your specific tenant because we don't have access until you give that to us. And once that's done, we set up our rules. We make sure all your connections are in place, so we're actually getting the event data that we need. And after that, we monitor your environment for about a week, do an audit, talk with you about that results that we found, and then start ingesting your events into our system. So
Yeah.
it can be done really quickly. If you were really responsive, honestly, probably about a week is about I think is accurate.
Yeah. But very comprehensive at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's mostly just making sure that we have all the connections. Last thing that we want to do is implement a rule. Then you make a connection on your client, and there's something that causes some false positives.
Yeah, great. Well, Ben, as always, great job and great job with what you've done with managed SaaS alerts already. Looking forward to more and more progress as we go. Looks like we had another question. Are you able to provide SOC 2 compliance if the client requires it? Yes. Not only are we SOC 2, but we're also ISO certified as well. So we've taken the next step in our own compliance certification.
Mhm.
So great. Well, my email address is jim@saasalerts.com. Ben's email address is benjamin@saasalerts.com.
You got it.
So if you have any questions anytime, feel free to reach out. Ryan is ryan@saasalerts.com. And then you can always hit us at sales@saasalerts.com or contact your account manager. So with all that being said, again, Ben, great job. Love what you're doing with Managed SaaS Alerts. Super excited about it.
Thanks,
Thank
Jim.
you all today for joining us and giving us your great questions. And hopefully we'll see you at a live event sometime soon. Great job, everybody. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.